Hey, Missy. Going out to investigate the bicycle? Alright, so what I was looking for when I was doing my trash run, my cat's always here to do her inspection, was road bikes. Now, this road bike, it's kind of funny. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be almost all there minus the wheels and maybe a few bits here and there, but even the cables are still on it. Everything's there. The shifters are on it. It's definitely an older bike considering the shifters are up here. So it's probably 1980s. If it was down here, it'd probably be 1970s. That type of thing. Nothing on the frame to tell you what it is at all. It does look like that's the original paint. It has that kind of silvery Norco kind of look to it. I don't know what this crank is. It looks like a kind of a... That might be steel. I don't know. Might not. Might be aluminum. Derailleur steel. Needs a real. I'm going to put a better derailleurs on it anyway. I mean, it's not like this thing is going to be prestige, but I am going. It is a road tour bike. I can tell you that much, just because of the fenders. Unless these fenders were added after, which I don't think they were. But yeah, it's got an aluminum headset here. That's pretty cool. I already tested it. It's good. Like, this thing isn't going to take much to get going. It just got to get the wheels and a seat and whatever, the rear derailleur, which I've got bikes to pick from. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I'm after road bikes, old road bikes, because there's money in them if you can get them in not too bad a shape. Obviously not like this. There's no money in this because you're going to have to invest way too much time, way too much, even if you don't pay a cent for the parts, the amount of gas you're going to guzzle up picking through scrap yards and whatever, finding parts. So this is going to be a project hopefully I'll have up and going fairly soon. I just got to find the wheels. Hubs are no problem. I just got to find wheels. I don't really want to put any money into it. I just want to get it going. And if I do, I'll do some adventures on it. It'll be kind of fun. It'll be the junker bike. And if I can get a bike up and running, I mean, I've done this so many times when I was younger where you start off with a bike that's all steel, and every time you find an aluminum piece on it, you add it to it, and it just lightens up the bike just a little bit. But this bike is light to begin with. Yes, the wheels are missing. Add an extra maybe 8 pounds for wheels, and this bike is still extremely light. I was looking for the road bikes, and I couldn't find any, and then when I went yesterday, because I went the day before, but when I went yesterday, there it was just sitting on top of the pile, right? I was like, oh, great, a road bike, exactly what I was looking for. Even the grip tape is not, well, it's tattery, but it's all there, you know. Aluminum bars, aluminum, everything. I don't know if this would have been a 10-speed or a 12-speed, whatever. I'll see what I can find. If I can find a 10-speed is fine on these things. They're light enough that you don't need a million gears on them. If you're going to treat them like an actual tour bike, well then yeah, you got to gear them down a bit if you're going to carry weight with you. Got mixed pedals or whatever. But there's a crank in the basement on that other bike that is probably even better than this. There's only 2 sprockets on this, and that's good enough for me. I don't really need more than that. But either so, it doesn't really matter, because even if these pedals are heavy, the other pedals are the other pedal arms are actually lighter. They'll go on that. The crank on this seems okay. Everything seems okay on it. It's just it's you know, probably sat outside too long, that type of thing. So this is going to be an interesting project. Operation Junker or Clunker. I don't know what to call this thing yet. Even the chain doesn't look that bad. I'll have to soak it a little bit in some oil, whatever, so we can get this thing to kind of balance out or whatever. There. That's kind of how it was sitting when I found it. It was just sitting right on top of the junk pile like that. It landed that way. And it's relatively straight there. One side of the back is a little out. The bars, yeah, I'm sure this bike's been down probably at one point, but like a lot of these old road bikes, they really don't get that much use. So, Operation Junker, here we go. I just thought I'd show you. This is the find that I'm most interested in. I'm going to have to examine the frame, especially the welds. If this is a steel frame, I'll have to make sure that it's safe enough. I'll have to do a hammer test on it. Just not enough to dent it, but just enough to see if anything's going to split or crack. That might be, I don't know if that's a crack or just chipping the paint and scratch. That type of thing. Because, I mean, you can get these things up to like 40 kilometers an hour and then you get structure failure. You die. You know, that's just there's no in between there, you know what I mean? Aluminium, steel, galvanized, whatever. So I'll replace those. That's nothing to replace that stuff. Yeah, if I need to replace it. But then again, the charm of it is that does have the fenders on it. It is older. I don't think these are homemade fenders. These look like this would have been a tour road bike, probably when it was new. God knows how many moons ago that was. This thing's probably as old as me or older. Well, no, I'd say it's probably definitely not as old as me. If you got a headset up here, if you got shifters up here, and that's aluminum. It's not galvanized. So yeah, I'm gonna just probably one thing. A little tip for these old bikes, if you're gonna work on them, because they're so dirty. As soon as you get them, just freaking hose them down. Like, who cares? Don't worry about water and rust. If you're gonna get to them in a timely fashion, don't worry about rust. Just hose everything down because you're gonna strip it all down anyway. Just because they're so dusty and everything. Get an old rag and some WD-40, whatever. Just clean it off enough so that when you handle it, you're not like just caked on it for 3 days and smell like, tin can for like the next couple of days. But anyway, yeah, there we go. So that's the first road bike that I found. There's still one more. I went up to Otter Lake, the town that way. Not a single bicycle, considering how many kids live up that way. Not a single bicycle in their dump there. I was like, that's abnormal. There's something wrong with that. Then I got one more dump down that way in Casabage. Well, not really supposed to go into the dumps. I even went into mine. That's where I got this one at my local dump. But I'll go there and I'll see what they got. And a lot of people, again, I know what people are going to say. Reg, it's junk. It's done. It's whatever. You're missing the point. It's almost all there. You've got both pedals on it. If you get 2 wheels and maybe one more cable and a seat, this thing is going to and a derailleur. That's pretty much all it needs, and then TLC. You do that, you got a functional bike. And also, too, if you know what you're looking for when you get a bike, if you grab it and it's rattly here in there, then just don't bother. Because there's the mountain bike down there, it's just it must be bent inside or something, or just whatever. But this one's good. This one's good. This is going to be a functional bike. I will completely strip it right down, put some packing grease in there just to, whatever, for a little bit, just to clean it all up, try to take the rust off. There's no use trying to salvage the paint. Again, I don't know what kind of bike this is. It was probably some sort of a no-name. Well, probably not. I mean, judging by the bars being aluminium, the headset's aluminium, or is that galvanized? It's hard to tell. That might be galvanized. So again, there's not a lot of, but these are aluminum. I try to pronounce it the British way, I guess. But and everything on it is steel, pretty much. So that tells you it was a lower quality bike in the sense of materials. But it also, if it was a long distance touring bike that you were going to strap all kinds of stuff to, well, you'd want it made out of steel anyway, just to be able to absorb the road a little bit better, a little bit more flexibility in the frame, not so rigid. You might lose a little bit of speed. I don't know what I didn't count the teeth on there. They do look pretty worn, so there's probably 250,000 miles on this thing, that type of thing. But it doesn't really matter, because the thing is once you get it all up and going again, like, you can replace parts as you find better parts, like the sprocket. And that crank downstairs, if that fits into this thing, oh man, that's going to be pretty sweet, because that one looks like a really nice crank off that mountain bike. Plus it'll be a hybrid bike, so it's probably got better gearing too. So yeah, there we go. That's road bike project number 1. If I could find more, all the road bikes that I actually threw out over the years. But here's something I just want to draw attention to. Look at these. They're not very reflective, so to speak. I don't know if you can kind of, it's not a very reflective reflector. I don't know if that's, but look at the size of that thing. That's like definitely 1982. And safety kind of mattered, you know what I mean? This one, it's almost like a headlight in there. That's probably 90% of your drag on this bike is the freaking reflectors. How awesome is that? That's probably an original pedal. I remember those old, foot grinders like that when I was a kid. So, you couldn't. Not only could you not ride these things barefoot when you were a kid, because they were like basically had cheese graters on the top of them, but they were extremely, they get so hot in the sun, you'd burn your feet, you'd be like, ah! You'd dump the bike. It was probably responsible for about 40% of the crashes, was some kid jumping on the bike, and as soon as he put his bare feet on the pedals, ah! Crash. But yeah, like, it's all there, kind of. So yeah, this one, yeah, I don't know how long it'll take me to get it up, but I'm in that mode where I'm in build things mode kind of stuff. I got a whole bunch of stuff to do this week coming. Well, halfway through the week, starting tomorrow. I just finished cutting the grass, so I'm going to start on the sailboat tomorrow, giving it another clean up. I got to get that trailer out of here. I got to get the canoe ready for the weekend, and then I got other stuff coming down the pipe too that I might. Well, I'm going to tell you in another video. But anyway, I'll just leave this at that. That's Operation Junker. So my goal with this bike, okay, is to piece it together, get it working, and do 100K in one day on it. Possibly 200K in one day. Just to say I did it. I'm that kind of guy. It doesn't have to work perfectly. I just have to have the bragging right, and I'm good. I'm that person. I've done it before. I've done it on heavy mountain bikes, heavier than even that one over there, which is 42 pounds. I'll give you more details when I get the scientific fish scale measurement on it, tell you how heavy it is and all that. But I'm going to leave it at that. So, yeah, this is say hello to Junker. There we go.